Yes. Yeah. Let's try to log in so early so we can figure it out.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
Great.
Dixie, how you been?
Super. How about you?
Good.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Dixie.
Just in time, huh? Had a late meeting at work.
It's good. Okay, we got Stu and Nancy. Good.
Hey, Stu.
Hi all, thank you for sending me a better link.
No, thank you for letting us know. I sent it out to everybody, so I think I may have accidentally sent the link to the video for us to download instead, so Nick had sent
Good,
me two
okay.
things that day. One was for the YouTube and one was for the meeting, so I may have sent the wrong one out. Hopefully everyone else will be able to join just fine.
You want to wait a bit, see who else will show up?
Majority of member towns or 50% of the total most of the towns. So, yeah, let's give it just a couple more seconds. But I think we're okay on quorum right now because we have Manchester and Bennington both here. Yeah, one more would do it no matter what, for sure.
So, yeah.
We need to just put them
Six out of-
seven majority
7 out of
order.
13.
Yeah. Yeah, seven, yeah, right. We definitely need voting items here. We got a copy?
Yes. Congratulations on your promotion.
Oh, you're a resident of Bennington, is that right? Yeah. Okay, for that, yeah. In theory, yeah, except the work's kind of also later.
Yeah. Other than
Oh, goodness.
Sending out a distress call.
Yeah,
Yeah, good idea.
Beg.
business.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, we're very fortunate.
Staffing, all right?
Staffing's good right now. Not easy to find people when we need them, but right now we're at a pretty good level. And my partner and I are selling it to two of the employees at Abacus, so they're doing a great job. That's been my job for the last 10 years, is to get them confident enough to run the business. So
Yeah,
it's going well.
you're at that point.
Yeah, and we actually have a 10-year buyout. So we're into this is the third year we're starting now. So it's good.
Good. Good
They're
exercise.
doing super. They're on all the day-to-day stuff and only mess around a little bit with the finance and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be there all the time.
I don't have to be there all the time. But
Good. That's gonna make things a lot easier, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we want to keep it in Bennington, and, you know, we could have sold to a third party, and probably financially done better, but Abacus is the folks that work there.
Yeah.
And without them, we have an empty building. You know, so,
Yeah, I called Dave and didn't get an answer.
This is called Rob.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
It's possible that, you know, they have a phone turned off because they're trying to get into the meeting.
No.
Good check your email on that. Send them around.
so do you know what the final turnout for the energy show, the energy fair they had last weekend?
I didn't get the numbers, but they said it was pretty steady, you know.
Yeah, it was, I was out there in the morning to help, and it was nice. The presenters were great.
Yeah.
It was,
You try one of the electric bikes?
I did not, I have tried one in the past, but,
Okay.
and they are amazing.
They're
It's
so
like-
fun.
Yeah. I feel like Superman on them.
I just got my e-bike.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. My mother-in-law bought one she hated it. And so it's like a 4-inch tire mountain bike.
Oh, wow.
Way too rugged for my use necessarily, but it was cheap. So, but yeah, it handles playing around in the hayfield, no matter how horrible the terrain is.
Nice, yeah, I've heard the mountain bikes are really fun.
Oh, yeah. The city bikes are transformative for people who live someplace very much not here.
Right.
But
Yeah, if you're commuting to work. and-
Awesome.
yay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
All
Hi,
right.
Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Save the day.
All right, it is 4:08, and I would like to call the business meeting for Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance together. First order of business will be to review and pass the minutes from last meeting of April 5th. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion, changes, corrections, deletions? All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
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 Right, ayes have it. Thank you. All right, Scott, you're up.
Great, thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's been only a month, but I feel like it's been a lot more, and I'm sure this next month is going to feel very similar. Thank you again for, your extra participation. Normally, this is a quarterly meeting, and technically we're allowed, I guess, according to the bylaws, to only meet twice a year if we wanted, but obviously with this facility coming online, we've expected a lot more of you, and I appreciate you being available to do all this and help us get everything ready so we can meet our deadline. The good news is everything looks like it's running on track right now. We've got 2 voting items that need to be discovered. They need to be gone over today, actually 3 potentially. We'll talk about the RFQ update as well. But the first thing is a lease agreement with Town of Bennington. This is going to be our sort of linchpin. When we get this, we'll be able to have all of our permits squared away with the state. That combined with the SWIP amendment ratification, which has gone well and is all up to date. But so we could start off by just talking with this. I don't know if Stu wants to address this at all, but it's a fairly standard land lease and access agreement. Bennington is offering us the space for a fee of $1 a year to have the facility on site there. Yeah, there's nothing in the lease agreement that I found. Issue with or anything we need to sort of go back to the town and feel we discussed, but obviously you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And again, if you are interested, Stu, in saying anything, feel free.
Stu, commenting or muted?
I guess he's choosing not to
There he
comment,
is.
but yeah, so if there, yeah, well, the hazardous materials obviously is on here, that section 4.3 that's up, you know, all that is part of our standard operating and the way we have to remedy the way we operate with the state, and all that will be covered within our materials management plan. Yeah. But
So do we need a motion to accept the lease?
yes, we need a restriction for this.
Do I have a motion to accept the lease as written?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion on our changes or ideas on the lease? All right. All in favor of accepting the lease as written, say aye, please.
Hi.
I'll say aye.
Good. All right, the ayes have it.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you all for getting that all set. So,
Thank you, Stu, too.
yeah, thank you, Stu, for getting that to us in time for the meeting today. I know you were harassing your counsel about it, so appreciate the work you did on that. The second item is also an appendix item. It's appendix item 2, starting on page 23. This is a master services agreement with Heritage Environmental Services. So last board meeting, I came out with the pricing. I went through a comparison between the 3 vendors that had all have given me quotes for disposal. The master services agreement is the general contract, and then when there's an attachment to the pricing agreement that is adjacent to it, that starts on page 28. There's a 5-page service estimate that if we sign this in conjunction with the master services agreement, all of these prices become valid for a period of 2 years, effective on the date of signing. In addition, it's the same master service agreement. If we wish to also bring in Heritage as our labor contractor for the labor part, they were the only group to respond to the RFQ. So we could just talk about the disposal contract first separately, or we can sort of talk about them together, and I can go over the RFQ stuff too. However you guys think it would be best to sort of do this. Obviously, they are 2 separate items, but it would be the same master services agreement, you know, and then we just have 2 attachments, including the labor and the disposal costs estimates with the one master services agreement. So I'm just clarifying that. But effectively, you know, this is the same service agreement as if they were holding events, as if they were just picking up waste from us, or if they were doing what they are also proposing to do, which is potentially send out laborers to come work with us as well. So yeah, I guess we could start by talking about the disposal contract if there's any issues. All the pricing that we discussed is here listed on the, you know, listed, like I said, on pages 27. It's within the budget that we had looked for and discussed last week. And it has, like you said, the sort of higher fee structure, but the lower general pricing structure per item that we had. We had just talked about last meeting compared to the other disposal companies.
That's good.
Does this company offer co-oping with other swimmers, or is that already incorporated in its pricing structure?
It does, we haven't worked with other swimming specifically to do that yet, but it is possible. We could do that. That would be probably a different pricing structure because we would be asking for disposal of additional goods. What we had talked about with the other swimmies is perhaps asking for a reduction in fee. I'm sorry, in the fuel fees if we coordinate the dates of our pickup. So that's something that was just bantered about at a meeting that I had with the folks in Wyndham Solid Waste District. But we have not actually approached Heritage with that yet. I think we would want to be a customer first and guarantee them our business before we sort of began that. And perhaps that's something that we could renegotiate with them or work with other swimmies in the area if there was, during the contract renegotiation period, if we coordinate those together.
So I think we need a motion to accept the master service agreement with the pricing as presented. Do I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion? Any other questions? All right, if not, all in favor of accepting the master service agreement as written, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that carries.
Excellent. Great. So the next item on the agenda then is the facility staffing and oversight RFQ update. Like I mentioned before, I reached out to I think it was 26 vendors, somewhere between, it was definitely over 22, asking for requests for qualifications. Only one got back to me, and again, this may have been one of the things the board directed me last week, that it was a bit of an overcomplicated RFQ. But the one that did get back to me is in some ways a convenient group to hire if we choose to move forward with them. And that is also the same group because it's Heritage. It'll help me. It'll mean that from an administrative standpoint, there'll be fewer contact people there. If you want to look at the pricing structure, that's figure 2 on page 6 here. So their labor rate per hour is $74 for individuals coming and working at the facility. All of the members will be pre-trained. They, only have folks that they will assign to the site that'll be there, pre-trained. So there was a cost to training that we would have to that we won't have to bear related to that. But of course, all of their qualifications are reflected within their labor rates, et cetera. Looking at a 16-week of operation, which is what we're looking at for this season, and looking at having 2 hours, 2 staff members there at a time for an 8-hour shift. That would bring our seasonal wage rate up to about $18,944. And then they also have 2 additional fees that they've included in there, and one is a general PPE charge for the individuals. That's just a daily charge. We get charged about 16 weeks of operation rather, and then we also would get a transportation and fuel charge because they'll be sending out a pickup truck from their offices in Albany with their staff and them to come and operate our facility, and we would be charged $280 for the fuel and the transportation for them getting out here. Total cost per season would be $24,264 based on those rates. If you want to turn the page to page 8, you can look at our general facility operations budget. When we did the grant application, the staffing was estimated at around $30,000 a year. This falls within that range, and it's also within the range that we had discussed earlier when we were talking about back in January, when I sort of showed you the math of what it might be if we tried to hire folks individually before we agreed to really check out the RFQ and see what the general labor rate would be. So all of this matches within our budget projections, and it would allow us to have a good sense of what our operations costs will be for the next year if we get this done now, and then we'll be able to discuss what that might mean and et cetera. But that's sort of the basic of it here.
Sounds like a great idea to have Heritage doing this, so that, like you say, communicating with one company for
Good continuity.
everything. Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, and I think at this point, when we're just getting our feet wet, it's nice to have folks who have experience in the field, specifically of household hazardous waste and understanding how to pack it. And I'm sure I will be learning more from them than they will be from me. In these first few months of operations. So I think it seems like a good opportunity for us to work with a company like this.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept Heritage as the service provider for the new facility?
I
So
make a
moved.
motion.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, Nancy, thank you. Any other discussion on Heritage? All right, all in favor of accepting Heritage as the service provider, say aye, please.
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, carries.
Excellent. Great. So now that we're aware of that, thank you very much, everyone. We can talk a little bit about what these cost figures mean. So on page 5, well, that's a facility budget. Let's talk about operating costs first, since we're already thinking about that. So just while we're sort of in the page 8 space there, just so there's a sense of what the operations are going to be. The facility cost will be $42,000 based on the budget cost. I'm sorry. We have a sense of what the cost is going to be for disposal now, and what the cost is going to be for labor, and I will work that into our budget that we pass at the next meeting for operations next year. I did not write that. I only have facility cost stuff here, so I don't have the disposal costs written down right now. So anyway, that'll be something we go over next week as far as the overall cost though. So capital costs, then let's just talk about on page 5, figure 1. This is our overall facility development budget. We have again, with the sort of grant application and everything, that the general budget was $120,000. This is a 60% reimbursement grant that we received from A&R on this. And so when we were looking to the prefabricated unit, that's the only thing that's been fully paid for right now. We've collected most of the contributions from the towns already. We're collecting all $120,000 from the towns, and then we will be figuring out the reimbursement at the end of this conversation. But yeah, so right now we've spent on the prefabricated unit. We have one payment left to MSK for going through the engineering and the permitting process, and we have some funds that we've paid towards updating the website to allow there to be a booking online for folks to book appointments in advance of the facility opening. So that's ready and operational. Everything else, chiefly facility supplies, and everything are now going to be, ordered once we have a good sense of when everything comes together. But projection right now is that we will end up being under budget by $13,585, having a total expense of $106,000 for this project in the end. And so that's going to mean the end contribution from the towns is going to be $42,566 going towards the facility. If you go to page 7 on figure 3, this tells you what we'll be getting. So that'll be $42,566,000, and then $63,849 being paid for by Department of the Agency of Natural Resources. And then the final share of each of those facilities is now for each town is broken out in figure 4 for us, for you to look at related to that. Yeah, that's basically where we're at on that. My main question when it comes to the billing, the reimbursement is, you guys should have all received your second request for funds to cover us through this second half of the development process. My main question is, what's the way you guys would like to be reimbursed? Would you like to just have credits issued so we don't send you quarterly invoices for a good chunk of next year and just issue you credits, or would you rather have a check issued by BCRC to the towns once we receive our reimbursement back from ANR, which I assume will come sometime over the summer, maybe in the fall.
So my thought is, from a budgetary perspective, it's convenient to keep everything within the same budget year. Most of us are on calendar year budget years, so it kind of
Who else is in the county?
I'm on a calendar year.
Nobody, no other towns are.
Oh, no, sorry, did not realize that. But yeah, in that case, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so my guess is, ANR will be, within 3 months of me putting in the paperwork, within that quarter, they will be able to issue us the check, but not until we have everything spent, which is going to be not until the end of this fiscal year for the way BCRC operates, which is at July 1st. Again, we're at this sort of interesting overlap period. But, I imagine that we will be able to issue a check sometime around September, reimbursement wise for you guys. Does that make the most sense then to issue checks, or would you, like I said, or perhaps, like I said, just have credit issued for general ongoing solid waste expenses?
I prefer credit, but
I prefer credit.
That's fine.
I'm with that too.
Okay. Great. Perfect. Okay. So are there any other questions about any of the capital costs, operating costs, or any other billing and reimbursement questions? Excellent. So item E is an update on the SWIP amendment ratification. I just received today the letter of approval from Glastonbury, which was the last of the items to the level, last of the 13 towns. I went on Sandgate to their town meeting on Monday. And so we are all set with that. Actually, I guess I should announce the name of our new rep from Sandgate as well. And it'll be Linda Schmidt will be our new representative from Sandgate, and I'll send an introduction email out to her and everybody later this week. She is a select board member.
Great.
So if you want to go to page 9, we can talk about the final steps here of facility facility timeline here. So we've got a few things completed already, like we said, development of the web-based reservation system. First draft of the operations plan. I'll get the second draft. I'll go through it again. Actually, I'll send it to Paula for typo looking at stuff. It's a just materials management. A lot of it's cutting and pasting standard things from best practice from the state, but it's just how the how the facility will operate related to the hazardous waste systems that are there, saying that we will be compliant with state law, etc. We have the RFQ for is clearly, like we said, town approvals. That's all set too. And then the SWIP adoption select board levels. That's what that is. So, ERB process, administrative process rules. Okay, so so what we still need to do is pour the concrete. So RJ from the town of Bennington, met with him last week. They've already been to the transfer station and sort of marked off exactly where all the work is going to be done. Met them on site with their guys, weather permitting. He was hoping to get it done this week. Obviously, weather has not been permitting this week. It seems like we'll try to get it done sometime around the 10th right now, according to his schedule. And then once that happens, it's going to need about at least 10 days to set before we can put the trailer on it. I spoke with the driver of the truck today, actually, about scheduling what day it's going to come in. He said he's fairly flexible that week, and we just need to give him a few days notice. So, but we're looking to have it delivered on the week of the 21st. So the week of the 22nd, rather. And that's hopefully we'll be able to have the unit delivered. I'll also have to schedule stuff with Paula and the crane company to make sure that everybody's all set. At the time of the delivery, we will be holding a press event at the transfer station. We want to have the banner and the journal and Cat TV and everybody all present to record it and write up press events and stuff. So we will, in advance of that press event, I will coordinate with Heritage to make sure that we have an opening day scheduled, so all of that can be included in all of our press materials. And then we will also, begin promoting the facility at that point in time as well. So we'll be getting all of our general ads and stuff into the newspapers beginning at that point as well. We can continue to advertise it throughout the season, but in advance of opening is the way that the reimbursement that the state gives us related to media works. So it needs to be in advance of opening, that we at least get the stuff paid for or assigned. And then due to what we've passed today, we can get the EPA site ID number and the state permits finalized. And then of course, once it's in place, then we can bring in our electric and fire suppression system professionals to activate those systems and get them working, and all of the items as well. So there's a decent number of items on here that still don't have exact find dates, which means that May is going to be, a lot of that is going to be nailing this down. But we're looking to have operations begin as we've expected, in June. Probably, sometime around the second week of June.
I do have a question on our income and so forth. We discussed earlier, are we going to charge anything?
Yeah, so I've set it up, and you know, if you guys are interested in this, you know, with a reservation system, and I can share the links with you guys later, but it's yeah, right now it's set up so there is a $5 charge that's required to get an appointment. There's an option right now to pay cash on site. You can check a box to do that instead of paying through a credit card or PayPal, but we're asking for a $5 fee. Yeah, now, so I mean, if you, that's a very small income. Actually, there is there should be some income coming in from that, but it's, you know, we had 600 people last year, so it's just it would only be a few $1,000s.
It's still $2,000.
Yeah, yeah, it is a few, it's a few $1,000s in income that we will expect from,
You know, that'll take care
from
of
residents
it.
coming in.
Yeah, they'll take care of those transportation costs or part of it anyhow.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd be worried too much about the transportation costs would be what, 45.20, excuse me. That,
Oh, they're,
yeah,
yeah.
from getting people over.
Yeah,
there, so.
it's if we get, and not the part of the issue is actually we don't have enough, with the 16-week of operation, you know, we'll be running a little short of having enough actual spaces to get the full number of households that we received at events. You know, we'll have to see what the demand is and then see if there's,
Well, we're gonna
you
have
know,
demand.
yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. I've had so many people
Yeah.
call and question on this. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm getting emails every day and stuff.
But yeah, it should be around $4,000 in income that we should project from the,
Take care of something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Should we make a point to maybe revisit the fees at the end of the season, just to make sure?
Yeah, oh, and the other fee is that also what we discussed, I think this was at the February meeting, was $25 charge for non-residents. So there's a spot on the web form where everybody checks what town they are from, and then if you check other, then it comes up with an item in your cart that's $25 as opposed to an item in your cart that's $5.
Okay.
So I know Rutland-
Scott, if I could jump in just briefly.
Yes.
I did break away just to confirm with my finance director, but we're going to want cash back.
Okay. What I can do is I can, I'm sure it's not a problem with, I can work with Amanda and I can reach out to each of you individually and I can just confirm how each town wants to run the reimbursement separately. I think that
I can bring
that's
that
reasonable.
to our board too and verify that.
Okay, great.
But great job, Scott. You did a great job on putting this all together.
I'll say.
A lot of stuff.
Moving parts.
I'll say you've done a fantastic job, really.
Thank you.
Awful lot to do.
Okay, so that's all of the reporting right now on the household hazardous waste facility. If there's any other questions, I'm available. There's no specifically outstanding items that should need to be voted on again related to the facility between now and getting it operational. So that should be all set. We will still need to vote. See, this is my transition. We will still need to vote though on the FY24 budget at the next board meeting. But as for now, we can review the FY23 budget and how it's been going. If we go to page 10. The major thing to report is that we finally got our big reimbursement check from Agency of Natural Resources for last calendar year's, and I have a typo right here on the front, expenses January through March 2023. But from last calendar year's household hazardous waste facility, household hazardous waste events rather, we got our reimbursement check from them. And so all of your quarterly billing is fairly small. This is fairly small this quarter. which is nice because you also did get a second bill for the household hazardous waste facility project. So overall, there's not much else to report related to that. Costs are kind of where they were generally for the second quarter. And yeah, and we, thinking though, and the website stuff I shifted towards household hazardous waste development. The website work we did not, I didn't put that in the general budget, I put that in the household hazardous waste budget. So that's there, but otherwise everything, yeah, is proximate to what it has been. Are there any questions about the budget? Just one item that's not outlined in this, that's not on the meeting agenda here. We can talk about it more next week, but compost sales, we're not going to have a big bump in them this year because we didn't, we're not hosting a large event like we did last year, mostly because this hazardous waste facility has taken up most of our capacity. But I am ordering some additional compost bins because we're very low on stock. We've been slowly trickling out, a few sales a month. And once all of the promotion related to the facility is over, we do plan on having some promotion related to the compost sales. This year, I think we'll probably run it a little more low key and not host an event and really just have people come and pick it up and only buy through the store and come and pick it up sort of at my office or at the transfer station as necessary. And then we can discuss next year whether or not we want to plan to host another large scale event at the same time, or whether we want to continue with effectively just operating a store throughout the course of the year. Okay. Since there's no questions about the budget, then or the composting conversation, then we can move on to outreach and events.
Hello, everyone. Even though we just met last month, we've been busy. The outreach for events is really kicking into high gear with events starting to come back to life. We're planning a webinar next week on May 10th, and I sent everyone an email about it to try to help get the word spread. So if we can let I just sent it this afternoon.
Okay.
You 2:30.
Well, I've been having trouble with getting stuff from Scott too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I remember at the beginning and then.
All right. You didn't get this set of materials.
Okay, then I must have the work. I took it off of
Okay.
the last email budget that went out, your address, so I'll go back and make sure. But what it intended is to do is try to get event organizers up to speed on what the solid waste management rules are, but also help them get their head wrapped around managing solid waste at events. I'm finding it a real struggle for event organizers to do this, and most of them are not in any kind of compliance. I went to 2 events last weekend and it was hit or miss. So what we'll do is put out a 1-hour webinar. I'll have somebody that actually does this by leading green teams at Garlic Fest, who's a veteran at this sort of thing, to help walk people through the process of planning, executing, working with the haulers, getting volunteers, because the idea behind it is if you have volunteers overseeing your waste streams at the event, you'll have less contamination. People will have trash in the right place, recycling and organics all lined out. So as we go through the months, I'll be stopping by different events. So if you have an event that you're maybe hosting for the first time, or you're providing the facilities for an event organizer, if you could get them in touch with me, that would be great, because then I can just kind of walk them through the process. A lot of folks bring in production companies that are from out of state and may not be familiar with Vermont's organic waste ban. And that's a big impact at events. There is so much waste generated by organics. So I've sent the link, so if you can pass that on, that's great. Again, it's May 10th, that's next Wednesday at 11 a.m. If you just register for it, even if you can't make the event, it'll come back as a recorded link the following day. So you'll have all the information, you can watch it at your leisure. You won't get your questions answered in real time, but you can always follow up with an email to me as well. I hosted a booth at the Energy Fair past weekend, got some good feedback, but it was a very engaged population, which is wonderful. They're all over organics and waste management and recycling. So that was wonderful and got a lot of folks signed up on our newsletter. I visited the Bennington Housing Authority and Shires Housing facilities, 10 of them last week, just to kind of get a sense of what kind of waste sorting is being done. And it's mostly just trash. There's some recycling being done, but little to no organic collection. So that's something I'm going to target this year to work with a lot of the larger facilities around Bennington County. I have not got into Manchester yet. That's next. Wanted to get everyone's attention about bulb collection at the 2 transfer stations in East Dorset and Sunderland. Casella has ceased the collection of fluorescent bulbs at those locations. So there are retail locations, RK Miles, Miles Lumber, and Aubuchon collect fluorescent bulbs. Our website has a list of all the other locations available. So I just want you to be aware of that. I'm working with the DEC. They contacted me last week to come down and visit us in June to walk around and do business outreach visits with me. They're real curious to know what kind of compliance is going on, if everyone's doing their part to divert waste. They also asked me to serve on a business outreach roundtable to help other business outreach coordinators to get them back in the swing of things, since we've been kind of under lock and key with COVID. Farmers markets, I've applied for about 18 dates over the Arlington, Bennington, Dorset, and Manchester locations between June and October. So that will probably be between the 6th and the 10th of each month. I just try to do that. It makes it a whole lot easier to just keep all the equipment in the car for those consecutive dates during that week, so I can get as many dates covered as possible, because I seem to have a really good chance to do some public outreach that way. But that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to start seeing me at events coming up and business outreach. And we have a school visit coming up on the 18th of May at Molly Stark to do a trash on the lawn day with them.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comments, but I feel like with the Zoom problem we had earlier, there's definitely not any members of the public attending. I don't know what that means for public meeting law, but if you post the wrong, everyone, it was also posted that it was at live at the town hall here, so that's fine. But yeah, so that's effectively the only things on the agenda. I think one thing I just realized I didn't actually go over really well. That's just just figure 6 on page 8. I just wanted to let her know the cost difference. And I was missing another calendar here, but the cost difference between operations here I thought was interesting. Like I said, we spent $57,000 to host events, in last year in 2022 to hold the 3 days. And then this year, our estimated operations, when you include all of our disposal and disposal costs are $42,000, and then our staffing costs, as we talked about, are $24,000. So that's a savings of hopefully we'll get 13,183. And that's what this year related to our cost savings for events. And so that means it'll be about 3.2 years for us to pay off, for the towns to pay off their investment in this facility.
Nice.
So that was that was the point I had realized I'd forgotten to make.
When we had only one bidder for labor, that should be a win on its own.
Just
I mean,
having someone.
the fact-
willing to-
the
Willing
fact
to
that
step
we-
up.
Well, the fact that we got this price decrease with only one bidder, without meaningful competition here. And that in a market that these people rightfully should be, like, are well positioned to be our vendor for. So certainly we have a great vendor, they have great synergies, but the fact that we're dropping our staffing costs by $17,000 is surprising, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cost of the entire operation.
Of course.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, so, great, well, thank you, everyone. Upcoming meetings and events, I guess we need to figure out when the next meeting is. We do have to pass, like I said, our FY '24 budget. And we have to, and there's an annual, contract with, Bennington County Regional Commission, to, have myself be the, program manager here.
When's that contract?
Those are both expiring at the end of June, so our fiscal year, July 1st. So we will need to have one more meeting now, before July 1st. If we continue on Wednesdays, early in the month, it will be either the 7th or the 14th of June that we would want to have that meeting. The 14th would probably be a little better for me being able to report on everything related to the facility and how operations are going. And that may even be the first week of operations, but we'll see.
June 14th.
Sounds like a plan.
Seventh after we anyhow. In cataract surgery.
Well, well,
Thank you.
okay, then, so we'll set the next meeting for June 14th.
Excellent. Any other business? Anybody? We have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Second that.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.